Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Randy, highway.
Okay, start off with the old business. Don asked about putting electric heat in my office, which I did install. And much more cozy.
It would be good.
So if anybody in the town office needs that heater back, never used it, so it was in Kathy's office at that time. We've had two employees with test positive with COVID and be out for a 5-day period, and now everybody's back, so hopefully the trend is stopped.
Were they ever sick?
No. So, it was within the household, and then they tested positive, so.
Good.
Grooming and plowing was exercised this weekend, last week. So that is, everything went well, still going well with grooming.
Any feedback on the trail march?
Trails, the snow is way too powdery, and it's not, able to keep it, it's easy to groom, but 10 sleds go over it, and it's right back to what it was.
Yeah, that's what the report I got asked. I forget who I asked. They said the main roads are great, but the trails, they were just work too hard. Snow's too soft.
There's no moisture.
Yeah, zero.
They got cold.
Yep. So, two other things. The library here had a furnace situation when I was gone one day, and we resolved it. I resolved it that night, did some fine tuning the next day. There was a considerable amount of ice coming out of the exhaust, which created ice cube in front of, restriction in front of the air intake, which is basically in the same port. So that restriction tripped the code, and so on and so forth. The lovely furnaces upstairs are very computer sensitive, and when it didn't have enough air in the combustion chamber, it shut down. So we had two other ones that kept the heat on in here. I mean, it just wasn't as cozy as other days. But we have, now obviously the ice is melted off, and we, adjusted all the thermostats to the same temperature at the same time of day, same cycles. So now not just one is firing up at 7 o'clock and one at 8 o'clock, they are more, they should be more efficient this way. But that catastrophe was diverted by the engineering that has 3 furnaces upstairs. So that one, maybe 2 can probably go out as long as it's a rig 2. And the other one will, there's a very small one for this room. I don't know, just one would heat the whole building that way, but it took 3 of them going on at the same time and slipping on. And now that I said that, it was
Randy was out of, Eddie did a great job getting us calmed down about, the pipes won't freeze, there won't be major catastrophes. Good contact, and thank you for being here at night. Let us all sleep well.
So the other new thing that is going on is in the bills there you will see a new cutting edge that we are trying out on the state road truck. That new edge is on the wing at this point in time. The county has one for their nose plow. The state has pushed and pushed and pushed through this Lake George stuff for us to be more salt conscientious, which we all know that the sunshine and cutting the trees is the best way to go, but a live edge on the cutting surface, the scraping trying one out. County's gonna try the one on the plow. I wanted for the wing, for the shoulder, 'cause that seems to be the problem where all the ice is, and we still are responsible for getting that off. So what this does is it has 1-foot sections in it, and it adapts to the road contours. Each one is all spring loaded, and it works awesome. We're having a little problem right now with the longevity of it. The last 2 storms, it worked great until the end of the storm, and then some of the springs were breaking. They got me a whole new set today to put in them, and they say there's an update coming with bigger springs. So, and when they get that finalized, they will retrofit ours for that.
When you say them, you're talking
That
about
being the
DOT,
manufacturer.
but is DOT,
DOT is not compensating us for golf for this. There's no way in the world. So we are taking that first step, to try to appease them. It definitely makes a difference on the road scraping. The more you scrape off, the less you have to salt off. That's basic. But
Do they still have the same rates of application?
yes,
So you're gonna have savings, so.
we are, because we're not out there as long. If we can scrape more off, there's less we have to salt off. So the less we have to salt off, that's less trips we have to do at that salt percentage. So the application rates right now, we're staying at the same, but we're scraping it off better. Because a straight edge going over all those contours in the road leaves that much there. Now that you can drop down and get that ice off, you don't have to scrape so much.
Segmented, or is it just a solid?
No, it's segmented.
Every foot.
12-inch segments that drop are spring loaded. So if there's a 12-inch and it's 3 springs in it, so even that 12-inch segment can sit at an angle. It literally follows the contour of every foot of road.
Cool.
It's quite the design. I mean, they advertised it even better longevity-wise than what we found out. And, when I called them this morning, by this afternoon, I had the new parts and pieces, so they can't really knock it, but, I would have liked
who's the manufacturer?
Northern Supply. It's a cutting-edge supplier that we've been using. It's just, they have YouTube videos out there of everything, it working going down the road.
They talked about this and dozens of other things that big Powwow and Paul Smith's, and just finally kind of rolling out here, but
Yeah.
we still don't have anything to do with liquid, right?
Correct. And the state does, but the
Yeah.
state has a York rate basically placed right behind their snowplow. So their snowplow is still doing that same thing, but then they have these spring-loaded York rate teeth that are trying to scrape it up after the plow goes over it, taking the bulk of it out, which is just a different design, way more expensive.
How much more expensive is that wind plow than a normal blade on the thing?
So the first initial setup is about $1,200 more. But then, because you need the brackets that hold the things together, and all the springs and all that stuff, to replace the segments, number one, you can replace one at a time. So you don't have to change the whole thing just because the back end is worn out.
That's good too.
It's the same price as a full 12 feet is 12 feet. So it's the same price, but if just the back of the wing is wearing, because that's where it does all the bouncing, you used to have to change 12 feet of blade. Now you can change the back 1 or 2 pieces. As long as you inventory other pieces, it's actually
And it doesn't,
once you set it up.
and it doesn't dig the road up like the original
Yeah.
Articulate a little bit, or?
It's bouncing.
Sure.
We found that it does take some of their cold back to lift it, which we knew it would. They're both, they're gonna,
That's the original problem with it, wasn't it?
Yes.
It tore all the way back down.
right.
Even a straight blade though.
Not as bad as something that is sprint loaded being down.
Which is a down pressure.
Depends how big,
Yeah.
it depends how big.
You have 2,000 pounds of weight pushing down the spring.
Right, but the straights tend to bounce.
Did they cover the replacement?
What's that?
Did they cover the replacement?
Yes.
They did.
100%.
That's good.
I stood behind it. I was not surprised that, we just bought the thing, so yeah.
Yeah, I was curious on there, like, was it one of those, leave the parking lot and it's yours kind of thing?
No, it wasn't even a question. It was, I said, these are warranty brakes. He says, I'll have them there today.
This is going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, first.
Well, they want us to put it on all their trucks. The first one we get, they better stand behind. So that's it.
Okay. Eric, Codes Enforcement Officer, year-end report. You've got the floor.
Okay, well, I'm sure most of you at least browsed the little memo here I typed up. I had absolutely nothing to do with anything I'm about to talk about, other than typing it up and reminiscing Bob's handiwork. I'll surmise, if that's okay. There was 128 total building permits that the town did last year. Apparently in comparison to 2020, there was 125. 31 of which were new residential buildings, 11 were single-family dwellings, one of which was a renewal, and then there was 19 either garages, storage buildings, sheds, and so on, with 2 renewals for those. 4 permits were issued for commercial applications. 6 permits for additions, which of course is anything that increases the initial footprint of the structure. 3 of those were actually renewals from the year before. 29 for alterations, which is a whole host of different things. Could be they added a generator to replaced a header over a window or door, or did some structural work to, before they replaced their roof. 22 were septic systems or repairs, which I thought was kind of good for the big picture of the world. 3 of which were renewals. 14 for new wells. 2 of those were renewals, 7 for demolitions of structure, 10 decks or porches. There were no sign permits that I could see. 2 for temporary tent structures, which are pretty much the same ones every year, it would appear. Same applicant. 3 for solid fuel burning devices, wood stoves, pellet stoves, and the like. There were 6 certificate of occupancies and 7 certificate of compliances issued last year. AJ Land Ventures LLC for a single-family dwelling on Golf Course Road. Christopher Ambrose for a single-family dwelling and garage on South Shore Road. Duncan Ellsworth for a garage on Golf Course Road. George Hagel, I'm not entirely sure how to say it, for a single-family dwelling on Fish Mountain. Art Sue Lane for a complete remodel and addition on Birch Point. And then Ron Schober for an additional, statement 30. Again, seven certificates of compliance. This just basically says you did your job, kept it above code. There were no stop work orders or any violations issued at all from town, for 2021. There were no, contacts from the fire department, for any, house fires or the like. That pretty much concludes the report. 2021.
How goes it in your brief time?
We're going. Got my first class somewhat under my belt,
Good.
for certification. Just kind of getting acclimated to, the paperwork. Apologize for this, the tardiness in this report. And then, just learning little things. Bob's actually been a pretty good help. I try really hard not to involve him, but, occasionally, I do.
He expects that, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
The better you get, the more comfortable you get with the software, for
That's something too, I guess, maybe I should add. I have, since your last meeting, I have, with Randy's assistance, went ahead, we did purchase a tablet, an iPad, and I have gone ahead and added the Williamson software to set iPad, got a little training with them, and that's I haven't had a chance to use it, but that's coming very soon. There are some ongoing projects that are hitting my desk, so it's only a matter of, I'd say, days at this point before it's going to actually be used.
Great. Thanks, sir.
Anybody have any questions for Eric?
Question,
Sure.
should this applicable? Does the town have a sign ordinance, an ordinance on signs? A specific ordinance
We
on?
do, yeah.
There is. Don't ask me what it is. There is zoning that applies to signs.
Oh, yeah, because I know in the village, our signage is quite stringent in the parameters for signs. So you had said there was no sign permits at all issued. Is that for the whole year?
That was for the entire year of 2021, but again, that was for just the town,
And then the
not
town?
the village itself.
Okay.
So at which point no new business or anything like that added a sign.
So any residents that may have put up a sign along Route 8 that was outside the village and in the town did not apply for that sign?
Correct.
Even though new signs have been put up? Just wondering, because...
Businesses, you mean?
Yeah, I was curious.
Business
Business
or
signs?
residential?
No, residents,
Residents.
but it's still signage, whether it's a residence that says, John Smith's house or whatever it is. I know if it was in the village, there are certain parameters of size, distance, height requirements, and that pertains to
There probably
residences
is.
as well
But
as...
if they don't exceed any of those, they don't call for a permit.
Correct.
There's no need for a permit for things that don't exceed the delineated.
Really? Okay.
It's kind of like
Well,
a
yes.
In the village it does.
At least when I was
In the
planning
village
board,
it
it
does.
did not.
I would think you would need it
You do need a
to make
permit.
sure it does not exceed the parameters.
What you need is a copy of the
zoning.
the zoning code, and if it doesn't fall outside of
Okay.
that distance to the...
Okay, so that's how that is how the town...
That's how the village did it when I was there.
It's kind of like a shed, it's a good example, I think.
Right.
A shed, as long as it's under 144 square foot, I don't even know how you can build it, you can have it ordered,
Right.
you can do whatever you want with it.
That's changed.
That's actually, that's a code, it's a state code,
Right.
of course,
The
the
dock.
Okay.
matched.
Okay, anything else for Eric? Okay, then we'll move
Good
right
luck.
on.
Thank you.
Doing a good job, Eric.
Yeah, good luck.
You really are. Okay, next is our BST 2020 final audit. Jody and I were supposed to have an exit meeting on Friday, but due to the county state of emergency, we had to cancel it, so it is tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. So for the next meeting, we should have our tentative sketch of it if we don't have the final. I'm sure we won't have the final because it goes in a book and all that, but so we'll have that for the next meeting. Street lights. So the next thing, as you all saw in this week's abstract, we finally received an invoice for the new street lights. I was filling out the voucher and noticed that the price was the same as when we agreed on the 25 watts, and then we had changed it in June. The board had agreed to 48 watts, so I had called and changed it. So he explained that the price is the same, the voucher price is the residual value for the removal of the old lights. Once they get this payment today, tomorrow, whatever, we will be put on the schedule which will ensure our job progresses in a timely manner. So we're moving along with the street lights.
So this bill was just to remove the old ones.
It's the upfront money
Right,
for the new ones.
right.
They'll remove the others, put in the new, but required, this contract required
The down payment.
Yes.
upfront payment.
Now,
And then at some point, I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, at some point, we'll get a refund, rebate, I don't know what the jargon is in their contract of 6,000 or so,
Yeah,
right?
almost 7. Back.
7,000
Yep.
back. Again, a lot of the stuff is paid, what do you might make an incentive? Well, it's an incentive to switch to these LEDs.
Yes. It'll be 6880 exact that we'll be getting back. I did talk to Chris today, because Chris has the file because she was the board member that was in charge of that. So she's gonna bring it to town hall because I don't have that information and she wants me to have it so that we have it at town hall.
So do we then pay her new 48 watt bulb, will there be another bill afterwards?
I have to assume yes, and I had figured that out and brought it to the board that night, and it was like an extra $1,200 or $1,500 for the higher wattage, but
Yeah.
the board all felt, after talking with Randy, that it was well worth it. But
I don't like those roads.
yeah. So, that's where we stand with our street lights. Next is landscaping at Town Hall. We had hired John Foley to do the landscaping, and because we were waiting for the sidewalks, they just got done in late November, early December. So in springtime, John will be completing around the flagpole and all the fancy stuff that he's going to do. So he has come up with a proposal, which is similar to what we did with the library. It's an estimate for maintenance of new and existing flower beds. He will weed the beds 3 times, fertilize all plants, organic fertilizer, mulch existing beds with black mulch, edge the beds, water all flower beds for growing season for the whole summer, and in fall he'll cut back all the flowers, remove all the debris. He'll spray drip line if any weeds appear when done, and done when office is not open, so that it won't interfere with anybody, and everything he has is all organic. That would be an additional $1,115. So Kathy, I think this is basically what the library did. So the board has to decide, and I am going to let them know tomorrow where we stand on that. So it's up to the board if they want to go further with this.
And that's a yearly contract?
Yes. And it's just for 1 year. I mean, if we wanted to keep renewing it, it would be year to year, and that's up to us to have to renew it. But it would be for the first year.
The assumption is that there'll be some of this stuff we won't have to revisit each year.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Not only that, but I mean, there was some landscaping done a while ago, and unless it's somebody's set assignment, it just falls by the wayside, and it all died or got covered.
Here?
No, at the township.
Oh, yeah,
That was sort of
volunteers.
Yeah.
And it was very nice.
when the garden
that
club
they
was
did it.
doing it, it was great, right?
Yes.
And then kind of fell off.
Yeah. So, it's up to the board here, if someone,
Well, this has been discussed for some time, and I would move it at least for a discussion.
okay, you'll move it for discussion, a second,
I'll do the second.
okay. So what's everybody's pleasure here, what's everybody's, thoughts on this?
I'm just sure that the concrete work is now the way we wanted it, and a good job. And I do feel we need to sort of address the front, how we maintain it going forward. I think that's a bigger issue for assignment or contract, but I think it's needed.
I would like to see it at least for 1 year so that the plants, everything gets a good start, good hearty start, and then just decide next year. That's my feeling.
Right.
I agree. Taking care of new plantings is alley. And
Yeah, John's good at it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no question.
yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't do it, but,
and it was a fight here getting our perennials going the first year, and we gotta keep at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would
And he
say
does great work.
there aren't too many employees in the highway department that had a great thumb, from what I've seen.
He gets some spray paint.
If we're gonna do it, we can have somebody maintain it other than the highway department.
Okay.
For the first year at least.
Yeah, for the first year.
no.
So is there any further discussion on that? No? Okay, all in favor?
Sorry.
Any opposed? Okay. Next we have, our annual town justice audit. So I will go ahead and, once a year, what we do is we have to, do this audit for the comptroller's office. So I'll just go ahead and read the resolution. The town board to review the town justice 2021 reports, whereas the town board is required annually to audit the financial reports of the town justices in accordance with section 219-A of the Uniform Justice Code Act, and said fiduciary duty is memorialized into the minutes of the board's proceedings. Resolved that the town board accepts the audit report of Judge Purdy and Judge Smith for the year 2021, adopted by the following. Offered by, someone want to move it? Has everybody had a chance to look
Yeah,
through their
I'll move it.
reports? Okay, Kathy? Okay, a second? Okay.
One
Any discussion?
question.
Okay.
The distribution summary, does this go into revenue? Or is there a separate,
Steph, I'll let you answer that.
Which line are you looking at?
the line that says how much money goes to the town, the state, the county each month? So where does that, I'm gonna use the word revenue for lack of a better term, go?
It's a general.
Honestly, I don't know where each line goes.
No, I don't, I want
The town share goes to general fund.
general fund, yeah.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is, this is pretty dry reading, but what it adds up to is, we don't have many departments that are actually revenue producers. Your courts and most towns, even without benefit of the speed trap, pay for themselves.
So it pays for the, got it.
Okay, so, tomorrow I will get this all taken care of and, we'll get it in the mail to the court system and we're good for 2021. Sorry? I did, didn't I? All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Yes, I did near the end of the discussion, yes. Okay, so the next resolution, came from Barry Baker, actually, telling all the towns that there's, that the governor has an executive order extending exemptions for 2022, which requires a resolution by the town board, to forego requiring renewal applications. So, extending renewal exemptions for property owners in 2022, whereas a resolution is required by the town board to forego requiring renewal applications for property owners in 2022. This is in accordance with New York State Governor's Executive Order under Subdivision 7-A and 8 of Section 459-C of the Real Property Tax Law. Whereas directing the assessor to grant exemptions pursuant to such section on the 2022 assessment roll to all property owners who receive this exemption on their 2021 assessment roll, thereby dispensing with the need for renewal applications from such persons and further dispensing with the requirement for assessors to mail renewal applications to such persons. So can I get a motion to go into discussion?
I will move it, and just to be clear, I believe this is for everything from star exemptions to senior things to veterans, any exemptions that we now have on the, currently on the books. This is just a matter so that folks don't have to
Reapply.
Right.
What happens if there's been a transfer or
So-
a death?
Yep. Provided, however, that the governing body may, at its own opinion, include in such resolution for procedures by which the assessor may require a renewal application to be filed when he or she has reason to believe that an owner who qualified for the exemption in the 2021 assessment roll may have since changed his or her primary residence, added another owner to the deed, transferred the property to a new owner, or died. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Thought it would.
So it's in the hands of the assessor to make that judgment.
Correct. A second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Less applications is better for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That's that resolution. Okay. Next, this is just kind of an FYI. I have here, I have the LoSAP report, and you all noticed there was a voucher in today's abstract for $40,718. This is for the Lake Pleasant Fire Department, and this is part of a contract that we have with them. It's actually towards their retirement, and it's a point system. They have to do so many activities a year, whether it's meetings, whether it's drills, anything they do, they have to keep track of, and that has to be reported. So I just wanted to let everybody know, just so that it's on the record, we got the report, and it's at Town Hall, in the file. Is there any questions on that?
There's a length of service award program. It's a lot of places around the state have them. Currently, at least to the best of my knowledge, the Lake Pleasant Fire Company's one is the most generous, at least in our county for certain. It is a pretty good investment in the town, but originally, for a number of years, really only worked as a retention tool, but has now, I think, paid some dividends in recruiting as well. And the numbers in the fire company there now are up. That's good.
Right, years past, the big joke in the fire department was that we were going to have to expand our handicap parking because everybody was getting so old. But now there are probably 5, 6 new members in the last year or so,
Well,
younger members.
years ago,
Younger members, yes.
when I would do contentious, spirited, budget talks with the fire company for the contract that we would get a couple of years worth to put, I would say, geez, the length of service award thing is kind of a tough nut for us. And it was explained to me that it's retaining folks on there, and I'd say, because they keep adding more numbers up, but will they be able to get on the truck? It's still a good thing to have, but it is starting to pay dividends in the last 3 or 4 years, what do you think?
Yeah, and Lake Pleasant, when it was originally put into effect, they passed a motion to limit the number of members of the fire. And they've never reached that number yet.
No.
It's something, I think it was
So there's still some recruiting.
There's still recruiting. There's always
yeah,
recruiting,
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, 2 cents.
Okay, so that's it on that. And I have on here cleaning out and organizing the storeroom. We actually have 2. We have a vault off of Stephanie's office that has stuff in it, and then we have back behind Eric's office, and the assessor's office, another one. I went in there last 2 weeks ago and I started cleaning. I mean, I found boxes of older envelopes, if there's no reason why they can't be used. I pulled them all out and we're using them. I have found where we've got like 20-some rolls of Scotch tape, and this is only in this one back one, not counting the vault, Steffi's vault. I can't tell you how many boxes of really large paper clips. Randy, you saw that. There was like 12 boxes of just that one size, and then other ones. So we're going to organize all that and get everything together so that we can start using what we have in supplies and not be duplicating things. The other thing is there's old computers, there's old camera that you would go buy film and take a picture with.
Brownie.
Yeah, there's all kinds of old scanners that are broken and don't work. Am I allowed to try to get rid of this stuff, or do we have to keep these boxes of all this stuff for antique sales every day?
How do you get rid of materials that are purchased with taxpayer? I know
That's what I'm asking. I don't know how it's done.
If they don't have a perceivable value, then they're surplus and they can be thrown
The
away.
cameras might be valuable in twigs. I'm
I'm
serious,
gonna tell them Karen said that.
because the money goes back to the community,
But if someone will buy
you
it,
know?
then sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Like I know one
People buy
computer,
those cameras.
I started with that one computer and it had no camera and the microphone was broken. So
Oh,
when we were
I know,
doing
yeah.
Zoom in the beginning, remember, it was a
Yeah.
disaster. And the keys always stick. So when you're typing, all of a sudden, it's just going crazy on you.
Yeah.
So the computer really, unless somebody wants to take it and try to fix this computer, I just don't see
It's
that
a
it's any
judgment
value.
call, and it's the supervisor's call on this sort of stuff that basically is in your suite of offices. If it is, have a perceivable value, but not necessarily to who's there, you can put it for liquidation in the form of auction. If you know it's not gonna garner anything, then
Yes.
it's
Okay.
trash.
The other
Like-
person to ask is Stephen. To say if this.
Or he'll take it.
Oh, I see what you're saying, give him that computer. Oh, I'll gladly give it.
Give them a 3 or 4 hour conversation about
Well,
whether.
it's like we had a printer in Kathy's old office, that was sitting there. My printer has died, so we got that one from there, and Randy had one of the guys come in and hook it up, and it's working fine. I mean, make use of this stuff. We don't need to be buying new, we don't need to
I
be doing
did
this.
6 years of using envelopes until Frank was out. I did my part.
Yes, you did, you did.
Nancy would say to me, you can't do that. It's an envelope, what do I get?
Well, if the glue isn't good on the envelope, you could use the Scotch tape.
And you know what? For one box of the big ones, that's what it's gonna be, so you use a piece of Scotch tape.
Because those little envelopes didn't have the tear off strips.
No, right.
Oh, yes.
You're quite frugal, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you will make the right call.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay, so,
No, the vault's gotta be in good shape, right? Your vault.
Oh, the vault, yeah.
Your vault's
Don't
gotta be in
throw out
good
the
shape,
stuff
right?
from the bicentennial.
No, this is.
No.
I haven't even found it yet. I have not had time to like
Good.
even start in that direction. The only thing driving me nuts is the old mouse that's attached to the wire and it's not cordless and I'm like tugging on it because it catches on the cabinet.
Oh, you,
I'm like,
computer
this-
mouse.
yes. Not the computer mouse.
She's concerned about the wire on the
In the old days, that was a real mouse. attached to the-
Exactly what I was thinking this morning, when that.
We've had a good year of not having mice, believe me, you'll know when you come in the morning. Yes, it's gonna be full. It's terrible.
I haven't had one yet. Not
No, this year's been good. Last year was bad.
I think there's a time capsule in there though from the bicentennial.
No,
I wouldn't throw anything out that would be any good, and I would always ask before if I wasn't sure of something, I wouldn't just take it
Well,
upon
that's why,
myself.
when you mentioned the vault, the vault, because I stayed away from it because it was Debbie's province, but also because you get into archival things, and you're right, you don't want to throw something away that has historical value and not real
Right.
money. But in the place you're talking about now, in this
Oh,
cover,
that's,
the reason that stuff's in there is because it was junk when it got put in there.
Right,
Just-
right.
It's a long trip to bring an electronic thing all the way to the.
And Nancy and I had gone through a lot of the stuff last spring,
Sure.
and Randy had the guys bring the truck over, and they threw all the boxes, or all the stuff that was in the boxes out, that was not stuff that was past the limit of, whatever it is. Statute of limitations, so we threw them out. But we organized that kind of stuff, but then there's this big mess, so we'll
The
take
rest of
care
that
of
was
that.
saving for Y2K.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
So I do have one thing that is not on the agenda that I received this afternoon from the planning board. I have a proposal here. And what this would mean is that we would have to amend one of our existing laws. Members of the town board, I was approached by a contractor who asked if, this is from Vicky Weiss, by the way. I was approached by a contractor who asked if we could entertain the idea of changing the building height in the town of Lake Pleasant from 38 feet average to 40 feet to match the APA. I brought the question to our planning board. We discussed the proposed change in our February 1st meeting. Zoning chair was not present, but the contractor said he would approve any variance for the difference between 38 and 40 feet. While the trend is for bigger and better, 4 members voted to approve this change, while 1 voted to remain the same. One member was absent. The change would eliminate the need for the variance and keep the building construction timeline moving forward while still abiding by APA restrictions. If we have any questions, please contact Vicki. But we understood that this was the way to do it, is for her to give me the proposal to bring to the town. And now the town board kind of just to discuss it, and then if so, we'll have a resolution for the next meeting to amend our local law, which I'll get that local law out to everybody, so you can actually read it, and then we'll get together and do a resolution and get that out to you guys to all review, because this isn't something you can just jump into and do.
no.
We are going to have to advertise, and it's going to have to go out for public referendum, and it's going to take months to do. So it's going to be a long process.
And this is promulgated by a request from a specific project?
No, she said a contractor suggested it. And so she took it to Kevin Smith, and Kevin also thought that this is a good idea, that this be
Yeah, I agree.
done to kind of follow the same guidelines as ADA.
I agree, to
So-
me, it's not gonna make a big, any kind of difference if you're looking at a building.
Yeah,
You're not gonna say, oh, it's 39 feet,
yeah.
you know?
Well, and that's basically
It's just a
how they
paperwork
were
thing,
looking at it.
yeah.
I would be
So-
opposed to this if it was a case of spot zoning here where we were doing this specific for a project, but if this is coming from our own planning board,
Yes.
by virtue of contractors they deal with, then I imagine they've, looked at this soberly. I agree that 2 feet is not a big difference. So I would not be opposed.
Okay, they've been toying with this, I'm gonna say, for probably about a month and a half. She had brought it to me, and we decided she had to take it back to her board and get it in their minutes, and they're all approving this and wanted to,
I guess
The
that was a
proposal
mistake.
comes to the
I
town
always
board.
thought it was 40 feet.
Certainly is for the park.
yeah. So, probably we should put this in motion form to go ahead and proceed. Would you say, Neil? So Don
I'll
moves.
second it for
Okay.
discussion.
Okay, any discussion?
We would add the request from the planning board to move this forward, because as you say, it's a pretty lengthy process to change
Yes.
the local law.
To move it forward. Okay.
I was just curious why the original was 38 feet. If the APA has always been
Yeah.
40.
How
There's
big
no
of a
way.
letter should they put in the
You know, it's
You know,
false
it's kind of
speculative.
funny because Bob had given me this just before he left, explaining the 38, 30 and 40 and how you would figure it, and that this was coming down the pike, so, this was something that Bob was hoping to address.
Where does he have it measured from? That gets pretty critical.
Well, I'm trying to figure like, say here, if this was the basement here, okay, and this is
Original grade, as
Right.
the original grade,
original grade right up to the top of the chimney.
including the
Peak,
chimney.
yeah. Yep. And then if there's a slope here, you would have to go right down here to the concrete pier.
Lowest point of the original grade.
Thank you.
Which I might add.
Talking to people who recently built homes.
I don't remember going to 40 feet, so I'm kind of looking that up right now.
Well, I don't think it would have here because it's only 38
It should only be, it's only 38 right now.
right now. Yeah.
Now, a fair point, actually, as she mentioned, it includes the chimneys now. It actually kind of butts up to another state code. You're within 10 feet, that chimney, is within 10 feet of the peak of the roof. It has to be 2 foot higher than the peak. So that takes away from your house now.
That counts. Yeah.
So, and it counts against your 38.
Maybe it's a 38
Your
foot
38.
peak of your roof in order to accommodate the.
My personal opinion of this whole thing is our current codes and zoning match the minimum state requirements for pretty much everything across the board, except for this that I can see.
Yeah, it was basically, our laws were based on the state minimum.
Sure.
Right? That's why I can't understand why we had 38.
Nor can I.
I'm sure there was a reason why.
Yes.
Okay, so any other further discussion? Okay, so all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so next is a motion to pay the bills. We have the abstract from January 27th and February 4th. We can do them together. Oh, okay, so you know what? You continue on, and we'll just go ahead and go to public comment. Any public comment?
I do.
Okay, there you go, Karen.
no, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that we have a new historical display that focuses on winter sports in the Adirondacks from way back when, and I want to thank Kathy and her daughter for putting that together. There are things there, little pictures of Scribner's Hill and the toboggan run and the, what was the name of the race?
Winter Sports Club.
Winter
It's
Sports
the old
Club,
Winter
WAG?
Sports
Oh,
Club.
the WAG or something like that?
Team WAG is in
Team
in
WAG.
one corner too.
That's the seat,
That's,
Yes,
yeah.
you know,
Wayne
so
Hair Gallup.
so they did a very nice job on that. And also do artists on display on the right-hand wall when you come in. And that again is Kathy's daughter. So you might want to take a look at that as well. Oh, very nice, two nice displays.
That is
Yeah.
nice.
There you go.
I'll walk out that way so I can see.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
That's it?
That's it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll have the library report
So
shortly.
we're
I'm
gonna
waiting for
kind of,
Kathy
because we don't want to interrupt there, we're gonna kind of go maybe to roundtable. Want to do that while we're waiting for,
Fine with me.
okay? Okay. Sorry, Steph, we're kind of throwing it off.
Oh, no, I'm caught up.
Okay.
Can I put
So-
Megan's name down though? Is that okay that I put her name down as the artist?
No, Ally's the
Oh,
artist.
it's Ally. Okay, good. Thanks. I'm glad you said so.
Okay, so Don, anything for roundtable?
No.
Neil?
Well, much as I'd like to push it along for Kathy, I've already spoken about. I have nothing.
Michelle?
Michelle.
There's the one that like fulfills his disgusting, not me.
I'm thinking.
It's so true.
Well, I'll talk then.
Sorry? Yeah. Well, we were gonna go back to that because I didn't want to hold you up. So if you don't have anything for roundtable, Stephanie?
I'll talk. So I couldn't even answer Kathy's question earlier because honestly, I've learned a little about the courts, but not a ton yet because I was so busy with the taxes. So I just felt that it was good to let everyone know what I've been up to for the past month, which is the taxes. And so far, Faith and I have turned over $2,228,739 to our supervisor, which is our quota. And now we turn the rest over to the county, and we're still raking that in and processing it. So it is slowing down. So things have come in great.
I'm building a new house. And I'm not even working at it.
2%.
And the smallest, the smallest of those bills I think was 50-some cents, which we both laughed because we thought it's not worth the postage.
Right.
And then, I don't know, the highest one, I lost track. I think there was a $20-some thousand one, and yeah. But a lot of those tax bills, you know, are just a couple $100, so it's a lot of checks to process. But yeah, we're coming out of the haze though.
Inherently unfair about the cycles that town treasurers and clerks have to deal with this, because you're elected and 47 seconds later you're supposed to be sending out these bills that, you know, obviously.
Well, we don't send them.
Right, but in the day we did, but still, now they come right back in, you have to process all of that, so it really does put you right into it in a big way.
I have a public comment if I may.
You bet.
There's actually a brief discussion with Stephanie today. I asked a question, because it hasn't been brought up yet this year, for me specifically, but I imagine it's only a matter of time. The town does not accept any form of debit or credit for any type of fees. As far as I know, that even includes court fees. And then there's my fees, building permit side fees. it's a fair point to mention that that's pretty much life as we know it. I personally haven't written a check in 10 years. And now granted I'm young, but nonetheless, we all have bank accounts. I can make a payment right now with my watch. So it's one of those things, and I know there are, as a former business owner, I know there are some costs that are tailored to having the ability to do that. There are avenues outside of just using your bank to do it, I know, but there are risks at the same time. So I guess my thought was somewhat to make my life easier too, on the code side of things, but just the general public for paying, maybe taxes even, or, paying fines and fees and
It's
stuff.
coming. It's been slow to do so, for a number of reasons. There's so many different funds, particularly for that lady's job. Everything from selling licenses, which are state, to collecting for dumpsters, which is Randy's part of it, your fees, and these sort of taxes, obviously. I'm sad to say that once again, the Association of Towns Conference that I've attended many years is not being held again this year, just virtual. And there's just so many things you can learn and meet vendors and so on. You just can't do it the way a big conference like that could. There's where the companies that can transition you over have been. And some years ago, we looked at it and put it on hold. The last few years, we've been moved a lot over to county as far as our in-house bookkeeping and payroll and so on. So we've been putting it back in order to not overwhelm them any more than us. But it certainly is something that we have to do. And I think everyone's been asked that one time or another. Right?
I think maybe someone asked Debbie, I remember.
Oh, sure.
Someone asked
Yeah.
Debbie. It's never been addressed to me.
Well, because they don't, as a rule, make, other than donation checks or something to the town, that would go right directly to you.
Yeah. The only thing I do the contracts.
Do you know offhand, as a county, or do you know where we are at county for accepting?
Very limited. I was in the DMV. I don't believe that the clerks, the record room, I think that's cash or check only. There are very limited things in the treasurer's office.
Yeah. It's been a sticking point in government in the state for some time. So while we're a little behind curve, it's not a lot behind. It's not feet dragging as much bureaucracies can be. There are a lot of legal hang-ups.
There's also a lot of fees that are incurred with
There's that,
moving
I do know, like, if you were to pay a fine, say down in like Herkimer County, which I unfortunately have had to do once before, they throw on, if you use your debit card, they'll throw on like a 3%
Right.
something.
You pay the handling fees that are
correct.
incurred by the municipality. That's, as I say, there are companies that are very happy to, like Williamson's type company, very happy to come in and set you up in your various offices to do this. It's just, it's been something that I started to look at some years ago when I was a mentor. And then there's, run into these roadblocks, and the old clerk were like, wait, we're not ready for that yet. We'd like to transition all at once. And the state hunting fishing licenses weren't ready, and then this one wasn't ready. So it's slow, much like the rest of it.
It's coming, but I really don't think we're ready for that at town level. I mean, definitely Stephanie gets a lot of checks, but it's only once a year. The county does the other tax thing, and if the treasurer's office isn't doing it,
Yeah, we take marching orders a lot there.
yeah, But I mean, it's definitely coming. It's not something that's out of the question at all. But, and there's also programs out there, I had it when we had the motel, that, the business owner did not pay those fees. Those fees automatically went on to the customers, and they paid them. So if they didn't want to have to pay those fees, they had to pay by check or cash, is how we worked it. And I know there's a lot of businesses around here that use that same program.
I used to do the same thing.
Well, I mean, I had a business here in town for 40 years, and we went from being almost nothing in the way of credit cards to my last year, I think there we were about 84, 85% total rooms, meals. I mean, even ridiculously bartends, but it's the way of the world. And as you say, people your age and younger, they walk around with nothing in their pocket but a...
If I didn't bartend part-time, I would never see cash.
Yeah, that's right.
My wife was the same way, she was doing the waitressing, all of a sudden we had cash, like, what's this stuff? We gotta take this somewhere.
Well, we can bring it by here.
Okay, so,
It's a very good point, Eric. It's something that has to be done.
okay, so, everybody else is done with the round table. I have just a couple of things. Anita, our cleaning lady that does all our town buildings, just wanted to let us all know that she's gonna have a few more hours at the primary care through the winter due to the salt coming in on folks' shoes. It's getting all over the carpet and the new floors, and those new floors look so nice. She actually washes them twice a day, because they get a milky, and she has to use a special I don't even know what you call it, cleaner, I guess, from a floor company that she ordered on her credit card. So next month, you're gonna see in the bills that we're gonna be paying her back, and there will be tax on it, but I told her to give us the information, and then we will order it ourselves through our town credit card. But she needs to be refunded for that. She shouldn't be paying for that.
Yeah, but she should go to channels and have us order it.
Absolutely. So, which actually Randy and I are working on that now, or I'm working on it with Randy's assistance. There's a lot of things, like we just ordered reams of paper. We were ordering it from Office Depot. Randy, do you remember how much money we saved on that box for BJ's?
It was like $11 per case.
For 5 reams, and we were getting 3 reams for $11 less. It's not as thick, but we bought 1 box just to see, and we have no problems. It seems fine.
Put up a copy machine,
Yeah, so
State contract.
we started saving quite a bit on that, so we're gonna start looking at all our cleaning supplies and that kind of stuff, and buying a case of this and a case of that, instead of ordering every week this piecemeal stuff. We're just gonna order the stuff by the case, and I spoke with Anita, and as she starts getting low, she will let us know. We'll be keeping an ongoing list, and then when we get enough, that we can get a cheaper rate for shipping. Yes, yep, and that's how we're gonna work it. I think it would save us a lot of money in the long run. So that's what we're doing with that. We're also,
And that's, excuse me, the village, when I was on the board, we saved a significant amount of money by buying toilet paper from Jonathan at Charlie Johnson, because he gave us a special, because of the public bathrooms. That's why it came up, because of the bathrooms down there, and how much was being used. So we went to Jonathan, and he gave us a special rate on pieces, and saved quite a bit of money on that.
so Anita and I had also discussed purchasing 2 new paper towel dispensers for the clinic, which are the type that you just put your hand under and the paper comes out. Right now, we have the ones with the folded paper towels, so when you pull a couple more fall out on the floor. She said more gets wasted than used. So we thought in the bathroom at the clinic and also in the lunchroom, we would get them in there. And it's the same that we have at Town Hall, so we would be using the same paper. So we're gonna order the 2 new ones in 1 case of paper towels, rolls, that can be kept down at the clinic. For that. What else is there? Okay. The chamber has got new community guides. If anybody would like, this is stack here, you're more than welcome stop by the chamber and get them. They're really great. They have phone numbers and information for just about every business in town. Really good, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's a chamber. Rabies clinic. We have a rabies clinic coming up in Indian Lake, February 11th from 3 to 5 o'clock. And then there'll also be another one in about a month down in Wells. This is through the county and it's basically a $5 donation. You don't have to make an appointment, so if anybody's interested in that. Gary Reinhardt Senior sent me this and asked if we could post this possibly on our bulletin board or possibly on our town website, Facebook page. They are having problems with employment for summertime, so.
Can you do a copy on the website?
Yeah. So basically, it's just the state looking for the campgrounds for different job opportunities. So we'll get that on our Facebook page and our website. And we'll take care of that. I'll let Gary know that that's going to happen. And then how about if we now move back to committee reports? Because I know Kathy and Rochelle have youth rec they want to report. So you ladies want to start?
Sure.
We had Samantha DeRochers, who is in charge of the youth rec program, reach out to us. I guess Laura O'Brien had contacted her asking if there was money left over for the kids to ski over President's Week. So we were looking for clarification on that. I did try to go to the treasurer's office today to get a breakdown of the budget, but they were a little swamped today, and a little short-staffed, so I did not get that. Hopefully tomorrow.
Okay, so actually, I actually have, this is the vendor activity report from 2021, which we had, for Oak Mountain, we had budgeted $15,000 last year, and the total for Oak Mountain was $16,621. And how I was trying to explain it, it was in 2020, it was $14,000. In 2021, we had budgeted $15,000, and then for 22, we budgeted $16,000. I'm a little concerned, and I don't know how everybody feels about it. I did also highlight here on the budget for Youth Rec Director Personnel Services, that's $5,253 a year. The Youth Program Summer Rec Aid is $3,000 a year. The youth programs are $3,000 a year. Youth programs at Oak Mountain is $16,000. And then youth program supplies and materials is another $650. I think that we kind of had conversations, Kathy and myself and Neil. We did get a full week in up at Oak this Christmas time. We did get the bill in January. We paid it. It was $797. But last year, what happened is, last year or the year before, in 2020, they didn't get to ski in December. COVID, and it just kind of got lost in the mix. So what we had done is we had then said, well, they didn't get to do it for Christmas vacation, Christmas week, let's give it to them for February. So we kind of felt like the kids were still getting something. So they got that for their February break. We only did that because they didn't get to do it in December. To do that in December and then again in February, we're going to go well over the $16,000 we budgeted for.
If I could throw in there.
Sure.
All that you said, absolutely accurate. As far as the past, we have had times when this pops up not just with COVID, every couple, 3 or 4 years, where they just don't get off to a regular start. And the board has adjusted that for a number of years. Now, we're looking at this, and I don't begrudge them asking or Sam bringing it to the committee, but we just do not have the money to do this. Moreover, you're hitting on most things that are in the vote. We're not talking about the ski lessons, which is a big portion of that. But we go forward the rest of the year, there's a substantial amount of money spent in the summer. There's golf lessons. In the past, there's been horseback riding and all sorts of other things trying to spread it across the seasons. It's veritably impossible for us to pay for kids to ski on a regular basis. The lessons, I think, are valuable and something that Lake Pleasant's been doing for generations. This is something that I think the board felt years ago could do. Help the seniors, help the kids. But at this point, I think the faster we let them know we can't do that, the better, so they can disseminate that information.
Yes, I had questions over the weekend whether it was going to be skiing during President's Week. And I don't see how we can keep doing that. So,
It's one or the other, and they got the one.
yeah,
I mean,
can't be both. They should be happy with what they have.
yeah, I think there was just some question as to whether there was any left over.
Yeah.
And I think, looking back on my notes, there was a budget of 300 or little bit. Okay.
I think the 300 was an error. It was
Okay,
originally 3,000.
Okay, well, anyway, we picked the number.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and these budgets are done each and every year with the raises from Oak and the rest of the budget in mind. It's too early in the year to be busting the budget. But moreover, I think it's a message that that's only on years when the kids have been shut out from something that they may be looking forward to. And hopefully they'll come and their parents will pay for them to ski some there. It's also worth noting, even though that's not why we do things, that there's no one in the region, no one in the county that does what we already do in the way of financing ski or summer youth.
One of the big problems we had with this whole thing is it's not monetary, it's getting the information out to all the residents of the town.
Yeah.
Not
Well, yeah, when you look at, they use, it wasn't a widespread usage. There
Oh, no?
A lot of repeated
a
names.
lot of repeated names for the week. In fact,
Should have asked that. I don't know.
6 different families. So that's not very,
right. And
that's not spread out.
No.
getting the information out to you, we send it to the school.
As a parent, I can say it's not always effective.
No,
And that forgets the homeschooling kids, and
Yeah.
that, you know.
So I know the homeschoolers, that's where I got asked, is what.
And there was at least one homeschooling family that did use it.
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
did.
Did.
It's open, but getting them the information, how do you do it?
Yeah, it's hard.
Well, it may not be the nicest way, but the most effective way is to make sure that the O'Briens know. So, they'll spread that word rather quickly. No, this is cash and carry now. Hopefully that will spread among those. I hate to hear this not used as widely as I thought, but
Yeah. And I think it's really gonna help, Kathy, with you being up at the school, you're gonna be that broken link that we just haven't had. And with Rochelle, I think you guys will be able to kind of pull this committee together and get things on the right track.
Well, we'll do some research, find some ones that work, and what's out there for the kids, and,
Yeah.
and as we were talking, we can offer all kinds of things, but if parents don't transport, it doesn't happen.
Right. You offer it, and if they take advantage of it, they didn't,
Yeah.
So,
Good job.
switching gears, just thinking when you were talking about this, last month, the seniors had asked for that 7%. And I sent everybody a copy, and if you read it again, now it will make sense. The way she worded it, it looked like they were asking for this year. They were asking for next year. So when we budget in the fall, we consider that extra 6 or 7%, whatever it was, for next year. And I told her that was no issue at all, and that I would get that message back to the board.
They're ahead of the game.
That was Pauline.
Yeah, that was Pauline, yes. And the other thing I wanted to mention, did everybody see the paper this week?
Yes.
They didn't show much of our fence.
No,
They
not
might
at
have
all.
probably, and you missed the whole fence thing, but I did get a lot of the fence in there. I
Got the
tried.
Hollywood shots.
Yeah, but
Everybody was sunglasses.
I just have to say, and it was a cold day, they were trying to stand out there in that wind. But I just want to say that Debbie was instrumental in getting that fence before she got out. She wanted to see that that happened, and she wanted the Williams.
Board wants her in back by herself and doing sort of a movie film or I don't know.
But it was just nice for
So
Mrs.
nice
Williams
all day.
and Nancy. They were very, very grateful.
It does look
Very
nice.
happy. It does look nice. It does look nice.
Question on that, did they do the grading, or was it too late in the year for where they dug up the posts?
We dug up all of it.
Yeah.
We took everything out. I mean, it was all raked way before that. But, and then they came in and said, so what it's gonna look like, there was stone there when they did it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What it's gonna look like,
Springtime.
we'll have to just wait and see.
Bud season,
But I will give you a tidbit of bad news. I haven't seen it because it started snowing it before I got there. But I was told that somebody went and vented one of the fences already.
How?
I don't know if someone hacked into it or what. But I was told by one of my employees who dented the fence. And I said, I didn't know of any dent in the fence. I went back, now there's a snowbank in front of it, so. But I will have to address it in the springtime when, whether or not it just got pushed back or, I don't know.
we'll see in spring.
Okay, so does anybody have anything else?
I forgot one thing
Oh,
I should
sure.
have made during public comment.
That's okay.
And I'll say it if you don't mind, but, I don't know if you brought it up before, but there was a snowmobile safety class.
Oh,
This
yeah.
weekend. It's Saturday at 8 a.m. at the Seco School. I think there's 17 kids registered already, which is cool. And we're gonna go up to 30.
Nice.
And you just have to call 3113.
Sheriff's
Register
Department.
Sheriff's Office.
Nice.
Sheriff's Office and, New Adirondack Experience Group, put it together and drag it, and Pleasant Riders, some of the club are called, Split Lunch.
Nice.
It seems that some adults should take that course.
Good job. Most of them should probably,
Yeah, refresher. Maybe a refresher course for the dress master.
But anyway, if you know anybody who's got kids who, haven't gone yet.
Do you have a flyer? I'll pass it
I
out.
don't have one with me, I just,
You have one?
yeah, it was actually, it's on the Facebook page,
Put an email address. or
Dragon
text you.
Speculator website, just Dragon Speculator. And it's
Okay,
right there.
because I'll pass it out,
Facebook
because I got riders in my room that need the course.
I
Good.
think it's on the Adirondack Experience page too, but I didn't want their office.
Steven and Justin have
Good.
signed up.
And
So,
lunches and
Randy, did you want to tell them about your experience grooming the other night?
No.
Would you run over?
I didn't run anybody over, but when I was finishing off Perkins Clearing Road, I tried to make this as short as possible. There was a group of individuals that may or may not have reminded me when I was 20 years old. Rode up to me at a very high rate of speed, slipped down the road, trying to stop, and came to a stop and asked me if I was going out. I said, no, I'm just finishing. You just rode at a very high rate of speed. and probably destroyed what I just did. And this all, long story short, was not very, I guess, cordial to the fact that everything wasn't picture perfect, and asked me how far I went towards Sprinkler, and I said I didn't cross the road, and said, something about that, and I asked him, I said, well, it's a volunteer situation on that side of the road, and, he goes, well, they don't groom at night, but they only groom at night, they don't groom during the day, and I said, well, have you ever ran up, especially with the kids too, well, hold on. I said, have you ever ran across a groomer in the daytime? Oh yeah, I've slid up, almost hit several of them. There you go. And this is how the conversation continued, and the blood pressure keeps going up and up and up and up. And I said, well, you could volunteer and take action. And this was the ultimate statement, which I knew the conversation was over, said, no, I'd rather ride and rip them up. And I said, yeah, we're done.
Me for 20-year-old Randy.
Slap in the face though, huh?
Yeah. I was just like, really? You're telling the guy that just stepped out of the groomer,
Right.
this on a Saturday night, and
There's nothing like going down the trail in the groomer and hearing this brat behind you and seeing a guy come with his skis up in the air past you. And that everything you've done for the past 5 years.
Everything behind you is
Ripped it up.
And the people that come
Yeah,
along
and-
after that are gonna blame you and not him.
And you groom at night for safety reasons.
That's right.
And you groom at night so that the trails will harden up by morning. I mean, it all makes sense, and they just,
Don't get it.
they don't get it.
they don't.
And how many trails are being closed right now, and landowners are saying it's not. And I know they're dealing with it down in, Ohio, Salisbury. They're, like, specifically Salisbury Ridge Runners, put it out there and said, we have a main artery we are about to close because you people cannot stay on the damn trail.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad now, but
It seems like it's getting worse, it's worse every year.
It's been tough all along because of your private crossings.
Yeah.
It's always been tough.
To remain Mr. Michael, they were ripping up and down Route 30 over the weekend. There were 17 miles of tracks on the road on Route 8 from Pasco
That's good for a
to
sled.
Ohio. Yeah.
You gotta be kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Trail 8.
Yeah.
There's a solution to this.
I will look into something similar back here today.
Did you motion it?
No, really.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Okay, so is that it? No other committee reports? No other committee reports, okay, and Stephanie just reminded me, so now that Kathy's done with the bills, I'd like to move the bills, someone like to move it? Okay, okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 22nd. Monday is a holiday at 7 p.m. at the library. And I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I tried, but it didn't.
Second.